Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order.
Take office.
All right. As is our custom, we'll stand for a moment of silence and follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could have a roll call, please.
Wayne Barahona.
Here.
Tom Eggers. Pete
Here.
Hamill. Ken Snyder.
Whatever.
Here.
Brad Hitt.
Present. Next item up is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Eggers.
Aye.
Barahona.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hamill.
Aye. Item 3 on the agenda is the public forum discussion. Is there anyone here today that would wish to address the council at this time? Any public comments that
No.
were, any written comments, I should say? Okay. Seeing no activity, we'll move on then to the approval of the consent agenda.
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Hamill.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Barahona.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Hint.
Yes.
All right, old business. Under item A, we can reopen the discussion on the status of the Trilogy lot. Anything you'd like to address or say at this time, Sam?
We're at about the same place on this that we were last time. Your two main options are to keep it listed and either change the price or keep it as it is, or transfer it to SCDC and let them take the lead on it as they are with all of our other lots. We can make it work either way. I think this discussion has been good to draw attention to the lot, so I'm okay with however it turns out.
That was going to be my question. Has the discussion we had 2 weeks ago sparked any interest from anybody that you're aware of? Have you had any calls, Kurt?
I think there's some interest in that lot.
Okay. All right, then we'll just open up the floor for any comments or questions from you as councilman.
I would say that we table this or just take no action on this till next meeting. I know there's other issues coming up on other land. I'd like to incorporate this with that, please.
Speaking of next meeting, I will be gone, Tom will be gone, so with that in mind, you still want to do that?
Well, then we'll do it the meeting after that, whichever, so. Or the rest of the council can discuss it while we're gone, whichever, so.
Okay.
I think we should just move on with it, give it to the SCDC, let the development committee come up with options, and let's get it moved. We've sat on it for 10-plus years. We've taken it in the shorts already. So let's just try to sell it for anything and get a house, duplex, 8-plex built on it. And then we're generating revenue, rather than sitting on it for another 10 years at $32,000.
When you say we've taken in the shorts, what do you mean by that?
We've been trying to sell it for 10 years for $32,000. And we've had maybe 1 or 2 possible developments on it. Let's try to turn it. You want to sit on a bare lot? Or would you rather have some type of income coming in from the tax roll? Because I know if we sit on it keep the price at the same price, we're going to have it for another 10 years.
You think it's overpriced?
I think it's the last lot out there. Let's move it. We've done it in Sunshine Edition. We've done it in other places in Skimper Edition. It's movement.
What
Instead
if
of sitting
we,
on it.
what if we drop it, say like $5,000, and then if it doesn't sell by September 1, to the SEDC it goes? That way we can at least say that we tried the best that we could to do something with it, and then from there.
We buy land for development, we turn around and give it to the SCDC to develop it, to sell it. Let's give this lot to them and let them come up with a project. Or tie it into what they're doing out in the, out by the pavilion. You know, with those lots. So that's my take on it. You can only sit on it so long and then you gotta move it. So I would entertain a motion to give it over to the SEDC to sell.
No strings attached?
See what they can sell it for and then come back to us and approve it. Or we sell it to them for $1. I would just like to see it be turned and have something built on it.
I think we all agree with that we want the property to move. What we really haven't come to a consensus on is how to do that. And Brad, you're on the end of just give it away and get, and I understand that. But we also are looking at other land that we're trying to move, that SEDC does own, and trying to incentivize some development on, through developers.
Yeah.
And it would, I guess I would just like to have that discussion in the context of this property as well. That's what I'm asking for at the table.
And I look at it as, we the city aren't the developers, it's the SCDC that's the developers of our property.
Right, and I would expect the SCDC to move forward with that. Last meeting we had, though, that if we actually turn it over to the SCDC, it's gonna cost us 3 hours of attorney time and costs and stuff like that, too. So we had talked about last meeting, too, about just asking the SCDC to do exactly what you're saying without having the costs
Yeah.
involved, so.
So we have a motion on the floor. To move forward, really, we need to have a support for that.
What's the exact motion?
Made the motion to give it to SCDC to market it.
But does that mean the SEDC takes ownership of the property and then is solely responsible for the sale and therefore access to any of the proceeds from that sale?
I think it would be just like other developments, they'd have a payback for provision. And a lot of times we end up forgiving that. I just think get it into the SCDC's hands, then they can market it and promote it, sell it. Let the development committee or the housing review board or somebody come up with a firecracker of a bargain.
So would we make that part of the motion, that it would be similar in land transactions as you've done in the past?
Sure. Yep, that'd be in there.
Okay. We have a motion. You understand the motion now?
Yep.
Is there support for it?
That would be selling it for $1, is that what you're saying?
No.
Nope.
No.
Just give, okay.
Give them the authority to sell it and
And
come
then
up
there,
with,
but there is a
Yeah,
buyback, I mean,
right.
there is a payment that comes back to us.
Right, right.
I don't know what the percentage is, but whatever.
and sometimes we've forgiven that.
Yeah.
Many times we've forgiven it.
Yeah, Kurt.
So I think consistency on the payback for the memorandum of understanding, what Brad is talking about, he referenced, I think it's currently $18,042 per acre. I can't remember what that acre, or the size of that lot is, like
0.4.
0.4, I think
0.4
rings a
is-
bell. So take 18,042 times 0.4, That's what the payback provision on the SCDC would have to be back to the city if you want to keep the memorandums consistent. I think it pencils out.
7,000 or 8,000
Yeah,
bucks.
7,000 or 8,000 bucks, I think is what it ends up being. If we sell it for anything under that, we'd have to come back to the city council to ask for forgiveness, like Brad said.
Okay, we have the motion, do we have support?
I can support that.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Farahona?
Aye.
Kent?
Aye.
Snyder?
Aye.
Hamel?
Aye.
Eggers?
Aye. It's gonna be back in front of us again, so.
So that motion carries.
Is it an aye, is an aye, I guess.
All right.
It is.
So then we have, oh no, those are old resolutions. We don't need to approve any resolutions for that one, do we? All right, we can move on then to new business. First item up is the Lewis and Clark connection. We had a bid opening yesterday. Todd, do you want to speak to that?
You bet, yeah. So we opened bids yesterday on that project. That project, as you recall, is plant improvements and allows us to repump and boost the Lewis and Clark water along with blend it with our water, and has some chemical addition pumps as well. Anyways, engineer's estimate on the project was $930,000. The low bid was Industrial Process Technology out of Mitchell, South Dakota, for $851,845. We received a second bid that was substantially higher. We've worked with IPT in the past. They did our wastewater plant. They were the piping contractor there. DGR also has a good relationship with them. We recommend approval. October 1 of 23 is completion date of the project.
All right, we have a recommendation from the city to move forward with that. Is there a motion to support that?
So moved.
We need to open the public hearing.
Oh,
Sorry.
thank you. Okay, all right, yeah, we'll open the public hearing on that discussion and acceptance of that bid. Is there anyone here wishing to speak to that? Is there any written comments? Seeing no activity, I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Hamel?
Aye.
Snyder?
Aye.
Farahona?
Aye.
Kent?
Aye.
Eggers?
Aye.
Okay, then let's move on then to award of the contract, a motion to award the contract. Take a motion for that.
So moved. That we award a contract to IPT.
Okay, do we have support?
Support.
Roll call, please.
Hamel?
Aye.
Farahona?
Aye.
Eggers?
Aye.
Snyder?
Aye.
Kent?
Aye.
Okay. Item B up for discussion is to consider the water supply agreement with the city of Sioux Center. For an explanation on that, Todd, you want to speak to that?
Sure. What you have in front of you is an agreement that would sell Lewis and Clark water to the city of Sioux Center before it reached Sheldon. Very similar to our agreement we have with Clay Roll Water in South Dakota. This is something that myself and utilities manager Murray Holstein out of Sioux Center negotiated. It did go to their council on February 20th, and they approved the agreement. I've got an explanation and a memo there with the highlights of the agreement. I can read it, but I've assumed you already all have, so I will stand for questions.
I believe from the last time we spoke, the idea was that overall water consumption would probably decrease once we are attached to Lewis and Clark, not having so many the water softeners discharging, things like that. How, just for the record, how does this sit in regards from our total allocation to the suspected usage of Lewis and Clark?
Yeah, so our total allocation for Lewis and Clark Roll Water, once we actually are connected here, is 1.3 million gallons a day. It's our current estimate. Once Lewis and Clark is here, we anticipate blending 70% Lewis and Clark water with 30% of our shallow wells. and then not utilize our deep wells, which will improve our water quality greatly. So on the high end, where I'm estimating, or we are estimating that we need about 700,000 gallons a day of Lewis and Clark water for Sheldon. That leaves us 600,000 that could go other places. We're currently under contract with Clayreville Water to sell them up to 300,000 gallons a day. Hence, Sioux Center starts at 200. But when we go to January 1 of 2026, their contract goes up to 500,000 gallons a day as the Clayreville Water contract expires into December 2025. The Sioux Center contract is, in my opinion, a better contract for us than the Clayreville Water contract because the Clayreville Water has to use a minimum of 200,000 a day, and they can go up to 300. The Sioux Center contract is structured that they must use 200 a day or 500 a day after January 1 of 26, or pay for it anyway. So it's a guaranteed, consistent revenue stream.
One thing I wondered about the 3-year termination notice, is that enough time for us to project needs 3 years down the road? You're comfortable with that?
I sure hope so. I mean, you know, we're going to get a lot smarter once we see what the true reduction is when we have the higher quality water. Once we get the public education done, people get their softeners turned down. I've had some initial conversations with Leroy Smith at AGP. We're expecting a substantial reduction in water usage from AGP.
Really?
Yeah, they sent off, I give them an estimated blend quality for their processed water, and they're looking at, you know, maybe 60,000 gallons a day reduction just out of AGP.
A day?
Yeah. Yeah. They're a big user. They're our biggest user.
Yeah.
So,
Were you done?
No, I'm done, yeah.
So how much water will we continue to use and draw out of our current wells when Lewis and Clark comes?
yeah, so right now, the anticipated blend, as I stated before, is about a 70-30. So we use 1 million gallons in a day, 700,000 would come from Lewis and Clark, and 300,000 would come from our shallow wells. Nothing would come from our deep wells.
So it would be, are the deep wells still going to be maintained, or are we going to do away with them?
Yeah, great question, Brad. I think well 9, which is our oldest deep well, and has had some maintenance issues over the year, I think once they're here and things are going, I think we would look to cap and seal that one. Well 15, which is our newest deep well, I think we constructed that one in 2015. That one I hate to just put the plug on. I think there's some value in keeping it as a backup. But what we're going to need to understand is what does it cost us to leave it hang there? Because there will be a cost to having that well. The pump will still deteriorate, the casing will still deteriorate, the column pipe will deteriorate hanging in the water over the years. So we know right now what it costs us to maintain that well a year with, 700 gallons a minute going through it, 15 hours a day. What we don't know yet is exactly what it's going to cost us to maintain that well once we're using it very limited, and probably, I think to keep it active, we actually have to waste water on a semi-regular basis. I think that's a DNR regulation. So I think once we get into that operational phase, Brad, it'd be for Keith and I and the water team to figure out what that cost is going to be, and then figure out if it's really worth the insurance policy or not. So unfortunately, I don't feel like I can answer that question fully today. It's something I think we'll have to figure out once we're operating different.
The other side of the question is, we're not going to rely on Lewis and Clark 100%.
But that's not the intent.
Okay.
As cheap as Lewis and Clark water is as far as wholesale water sales go, we can still produce our own water, cheaper than what our purchase price from them is. So I think it's important for us to still produce and maintain our shallow wells for as long as we can. But understand, I do believe, and so does Keith and Dave, we believe that there will come a day when our shallow wells will no longer be operational and feasible. And under current regulation, drilling more of them is really not a feasible option. So there might become a day when we are self-sufficient to Lewis and Clark. But we have the expansion water that you guys committed to some time ago. That gives us another 756,000 gallons a day, so taking our allocation up to 2.056 MGD. And, you know, we're anticipating the expansion water being here by 2031, assuming the Lewis and Clark Board of Directors continues on the path that they're currently.
Well, they've stayed on schedule so far. Oh, wait.
Big difference, Pete. The expansion is not funded by federal funds. The expansion is funded by the 20 members. So
They
we're
will be
our
on
own decision makers there, right? The pace at which we get that water is going to be what our temperature is on paying for that expansion. Remember, Sheldon's portion of that is $4 million.
Did Sioux Center buy into that expansion project as well?
They did, but the big difference is Sheldon secured a lot more water initially than Sioux Center did. So their costs are down, but they have about half the water secured for Lewis and Clark as we do.
Mm.
They have, I think they're at like 600,000 gallons a day to our 1.3 million. And I think we're in a better, so yes, we're in a scenario right now where we have what I'll call excess water we can sell. But I would be way rather be in that situation than be the person having to buy, right? Because we control our destiny there, and we can get this water. This is the beauty of this contract. It's a 10-year agreement with 3-year outs. If we need the water, it's ours. There are some other members of Lewis and Clark who have sold their future allocations to other members to deals that are much more lucrative than what I have in front of you today. But they lost the rights to that water forever. That is not a scenario that I think Sheldon should be in. Because I believe we're going to grow, and I believe we're going to need that water in the future.
Well, worst case scenario, you know, you're locked in this amount. There's plenty of buffer between if your estimate's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there's 100,000 gallons a day, plus we haven't figured in any reduction in usage.
Okay.
Right? And we don't use near as much water in the wintertime as we do in the summer. And while we say our daily allocation from Lewis and Clark is 1.3, they'll let us buy more than that, assuming they have the water to sell. All right, last summer they really didn't have the water to sell because we're still developing the well field along the river. But next week, I just had lunch with Jim Allen today, for the operations manager of Lewis and Clark. Next week, that the new collector well comes online. When we designed that well, we were hoping to get 16 million gallons a day out of one well, by the way, if that's kind of crazy. But actually, upon development, it's done better than that. That thing will do 22 million gallons a day.
Okay.
So we're going to build 2 more of those. Some of you have seen it. Pete, Brad, have seen it. The plan for Lewis and Clark is to build 2 more of those as we get closer to expansion. Expanding the plant from 45 MGD up to 60.
So I know that a couple years back, 2018 maybe, I can't remember the exact year, it was the flood that knocked out a number of our shallow wells.
3.
So are the remaining shallow wells under that same threat based on their positioning and that sort of thing, or are we really just looking at running those wells till they're dry?
We will run those wells until we can't continually refurbish them, I guess, for lack of a better term, and get enough water out of them to make it worth turning on the pump. Could those wells flood? Yeah. The flood of 2018, I believe the flood waters along there were the highest they've been in over 100 years. Those wells were built, the ones that we lost were built in the 20s and 30s, and they had never seen water over their berm, but they did in 2018. So could another event like that happen that goes over top what happened in 18? Yeah, it's possible. Likely, I doubt it.
Sure. Is that one of the advantages in keeping the deep well
In
operational?
an emergency, you would still have water. The kicker would be is if we run it too much and too high of a blend. You recall one of the reasons we want to turn softeners off is so that we can meet our chloride limit at our wastewater discharge. If We can only do that by providing our users softer water. So if we turn on the deep well is 85 grains hard versus the shallows are 25 grains hard versus Lewis and Clark is 9 grains hard. I really think, guys, this is a good agreement. I think, you know, we're utilizing the resource we have. We're making some money off of that resource, which we can put back into future payments of paying for it. We're reducing the rates of our own customers. You know, I fully intend on bringing you more contracts that are structured slightly different than this in the future. I have some ideas that may or may not work. I'm not going to discuss them today so much. If you want to know more about them, stop in and see me. But I think there's going to be opportunity to sell some more water yet without jeopardizing Sheldon. And if we can find a way to reduce the burden on our ratepayers, I think that's what our job is to do.
Are you thinking you might add a commission rate in on these next agreements for yourself?
Might. Is that allowable, Mayor?
As long as you share. And I won't say anything.
All right, I think we've covered this fairly well. We need a motion to approve it, I think. The resolution, is that something? There's a resolution there?
Yes.
So if we approve
Move we
that,
approve that resolution.
I'll support.
any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Eggers.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Hand.
Aye.
Farahona.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
All right, next item up is, I'm going to open the public hearing regarding the fiscal year 23-24 budget. Is there anyone here today that wishes to address that particular topic? Seeing no action, we have any written comments on the budget?
None.
Okay, motion to close the hearing then, please.
So moved.
Support.
All right. Then there is a resolution there. Let's get that on the floor so we can discuss any further. We have the resolution approving the fiscal year 23-24 maximum property tax dollars. I'll take a motion to approve that.
Do we need to do roll call on the last?
On the public hearing?
Yeah.
Oh,
I did.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
On this last one to close it?
Did I?
I don't think so.
There wasn't a public,
I don't think
a
so.
public hearing on the Sioux Center one.
Yeah, I don't think you did on
we
the
opened it.
public.
No, I don't think we did either. I think we need to
Okay.
close, motion to close the hearing first.
I've got a motion, I have a motion and a second to close the hearing. So do I just need to do roll call? It's just so.
Usually do
so
after those.
Going through the motions. Eggers.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Farahona.
Aye.
Okay. Now moving on to the resolution regarding the budget. Would entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Any support?
Support.
Further discussion? You're awfully quiet. Is there anything you'd like to comment on regarding this time? You're good.
No, not unless you have any questions for me.
Okay. And we approve it today, but we still have to have another hearing, correct?
Right. The next action after this will be to set the actual hearing. So what this is to, this is the maximum property tax dollars that we can
Okay.
access.
Okay.
Then will come the adoption of the budget next time.
right.
Actually, April 5.
So any further questions? Roll call, please.
Farahona.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
All right. So then we need to set the date and time of the hearing for the fiscal budget 23-24. The date we have scheduled is April 5th. We need a motion for that.
So make a motion.
I'll support.
Okay. So we have motion and we have support. Any further questions on that? Roll call, please.
Snyder?
Aye.
Hint?
Aye.
Eggers?
Aye.
Farahona?
Aye.
Hamel?
Aye. Okay.
Be absent on that day. If possible, would be absent on that day.
That's all we need to do in that, right? Okay, then let's move on to reports. Sam, anything from you?
Yeah, I have a couple of comments. I want to thank Kurt and Wayne for their help, and there was others. Angie and the clerk's office staff were very helpful in moving us to a new website. So we have sheldoniowa.gov, and sheldoniowa.com will be run by SCDC. So I think that's working well so far. Would sure like your feedback on the website. We did kind of a soft launch. We didn't really announce it, but it's nicely integrated into the main agendas. So if there's any feedback on that, see one of us. Planning Commission, it's a big one. I'm going to be posting it tomorrow. Be Tuesday the 14th at 4 p.m. So we've got the 4 items listed there. The 2 big ones are a rezoning for maintainer, including the former Glen Sports Center site that they purchased, and the new subdivision for 12 lots instead of 14 at the Bethel site. Any questions on my regular report? Okay. I'll move into the ordinance review. So if you click on that tab and scroll down to the bottom, there's not a whole lot left. I talked to Todd today. We need to go through and update or review the rates per the utility rates per the budget discussions. It would be nice to have first reading sometime in April, wrap this up by May or June, and then July or August, we will then get the first round of legislative updates from the current legislative session. So any feedback on the ordinance? Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Todd, anything else from you today?
Well, thank you, Mayor.
Kurt?
Well, thanks, Mayor.
Chief Birch?
Well, thank you.
Right along. Angie?
No, thank you.
Nick is not here. How about council to my left?
Nothing.
To my right?
Thank you.
The only question I have, we talked in this discussion today, and Sam's been noticing, there will be 2 of us gone next week. Do you want, or 2 weeks from now, you want to go ahead with that meeting? Pete will chair it then. 4 of you are going to be here. That would be fine with me. Oh. If I'm not, I'm seeing everybody shaking their head yes. So if somebody says, has strong feelings the other way, then,
As long as we have 3 people here, we can have an official meeting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something about Deanna stepping down from the Board of Adjustment? Getting some applicants.
Okay, I have spoken to a couple of people,
Oh, you
but,
have? Okay.
but that's fine, they haven't committed yet, so.
Okay.
There is an opening on the board, the Planning and Zoning, Board of Adjustment is Deanna's, right? The Board of Adjustment, we have a resignation, Deanna Wood is stepping down, so we need one for that, and we also need a P and Z, Planning and Zoning? Or not? Because you've got P and Z and Board of Adjustment.
No, that's just on something else.
Okay. Because I think I asked them for Planning and Zoning, but, anyway. So, if you could get that word out for us, Justin, that would be good. And for Tom, if you're listening in, if you could get that word out too also. Have them contact either the city office or myself or one of your councilmen. And I have no other comments, so a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Support?
Roll call, please.
Hamel?
Aye.
Snyder,
Aye.
Hamel, oh shoot, Hint, sorry.